I really like that intro. I'll be like rocking it to it. Hello,
Hmm.
everybody. Hello, twins. Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday.
How are you this week?
The week is going pretty quick, so of course, tomorrow's Friday, right? So, what
I
I'm saying?
agree.
So we already got the show going on, so F your feelings after hours going down tonight, right?
I love how we now call it after hours.
After hours Thursday, it's the pre turn up for the weekend, right? So for y'all tapping in, we appreciate y'all on this Thursday night. Y'all trying to get ready for Friday, but this is that pre Friday turn up. But my week been good. Work been smooth. Life been going really good. So no complaints on my side. All is up.
I love that. I feel the same. Like you're right. Like the week just kind of went by. For me, work is good for me as well. It's funny. We're having our Christmas party on the 19th, and I saw where we were having it, and I was thinking to myself, it better come with some bonus checks because it's at the Four Seasons Hotel, and I was like, if I don't get some bonus checks, you guys are gonna wish we had it at the office and I had Chipotle because I don't want to go. I don't care for the Four Seasons. Give me the money. However, I digress. Other than that, things are fantastic. Any plans for the weekend?
No major plans. I got the babies this weekend, so we won't see how that
Yes,
goes.
yes, yes, yes. Fatherly duties. I get that. Yep, enjoy.
Yep, never in.
No,
Active
it
day.
doesn't. And then we're parents forever. I have a 23-year-old, and I get the text, "Mommy, what did you cook when she's coming home? Mommy, did you do? Mommy, can you do that? Mom, okay, thank you so much."
Oh, so you haven't graduated from mommy to mom yet. You still mommy.
I'm mommy or mom depending on the day.
Oh, okay.
Mommy, mom, bestie some days. Like, but it's yeah, she's still they're always dependent. But I always say to people, I daddied my daddy to death. Like I was always like, daddy, daddy. I never called my dad daddy. I mean dad, my daddy dad. I always called him daddy, even as a grown adult. So it is what it is. Anyhow, it
That makes
might
sense.
explain some of my spoiled behavior now, but I digress. That's for my man to deal with, or he won't. He doesn't really. So, but anyhow, we won't go there. Listen, anybody who's watching, can you please tell me if you have watched Rhythm and Flow? I see Jeff is in the chat. I can see the 2.0 is in the chat. What's up, everybody? I need to know, people, if you have watched Rhythm and Flow on Netflix because I need my community. I need people to talk about it, especially if you've watched it until the end. I need someone who's watched the entire series and knows who the winner is so we can have a conversation. So if you've watched Rhythm and Flow, please let me know in the chat. At the end of this, I want you to come on so we can have a little short conversation about Rhythm and Flow because Twins has not watched it yet, so I cannot talk to him about it. But I digress. Anywho, going into the topic, we are talking divorce. That's pretty good. Mimi. We are talking divorce. And it is going to get personal or maybe not so personal. But I do have some questions. I have a clip. If you don't know, if you're new to the show, we are both divorced. We've had different experiences about divorce. I definitely had a different experience with my divorce. And I have some questions that I will ask twins, and I will answer myself. The audience, if you've ever been divorced, experienced divorce in any way, and you want to pipe in, as usual, you can type it in the chat, or you can click the link that I have pinned at the top, and you can come in here and share your experience. Because divorce, whether you are a product of divorce or you've been through the divorce yourself, I understand that people have a complicated relationship with the concept of divorce. So I'm going to pause there for a second because it is one of the Netflix don't be having anything good anymore. They're robbing me every month. Let me tell you, here in and I think they've discontinued it but I have the Netflix with ads. And my boyfriend hates trying to watch a series with me because I keep saying, pause, my ad is coming up. But the difference between it, listen, I think they've discontinued. The difference between the Netflix with ad and the Netflix without ad was like $12 a month. That's an extra $144 a year for me not to see. I'm good with money. I tell people I'm not good with math, but I'm good with money. So you want me to pay an extra $144 a year just not to see 2 or 3 ads in a show? I'm good. My boyfriend, however, hates it because when I try to like watch things with him, he's like, yo, he's like, I pay for the no ads. I'm like, but we're watching this together. You got to pause because I have ads. Anyways, if you have the Netflix without ads, I'm winning. I pay $6.77 Canadian, which would probably be about $4 and something cents for you for Netflix. Nope, I will not pay.
I'm gonna be honest. Listen, I'm living under a rock. I didn't know there was a Netflix with ads, so that's
sure
me hearing that.
Sure is. I think they've discontinued it. That's why I won't cancel it. That's why I'm not going to upgrade.
So pretty much you're grandfathering. Pretty much that's what it is.
Yeah. Not $6.77 taxes included every month. I'm not paying that extra $144. I grew up in the 80s and 90s. We had ads. I will be okay. We had long commercial. We had like 3-minute commercial breaks that you ran to the bathroom when you were watching Martin, and they turned it up loud because they knew you were going to the bathroom, so you could still hear from the bathroom. I'm good. What's 30 seconds? I'm a product of the 70s. I'll be fine. The chef short said I didn't know that either. Listen, I am here to teach you new things. I'm also parsimonious. Okay, I'm parsimonious. I learned that was another more educated word to say I'm frugal. And so I don't play. Extra $144, they're not getting my money. But I digress. So, divorce. Let's talk about it. Let's get into it. I have a clip I'm going to play, and then I'm going to give my opinion first because I know how Twin felt about this clip when I sent it to him. So I'm going to play this clip. We're going to discuss it, and then we're going to go into our more personal journeys on divorce. Again, feel free to ask us questions in the chat or jump on, and we can have a conversation about it. So without further ado, here we go.
When you decide to file for divorce, how hard was that?
It's very hard when you feel like that's the only option. You feel like you failed. You feel like not only did you fail the marriage, did you fail the family, did you fail your family who were riding on your marriage to be successful because maybe they couldn't have the relationship. When you fail people who have watched you on TV and think so much of the union that they see, you failed them. And not only did you fail all of those people, but you've also failed yourself. I felt like I failed myself. I feel like I could not reach the level of success that I intended for my life when it came to relationship. I felt like when I made my choice and walked down the aisle, that was the right choice. It was the choice that was aligned not only for me, but what God had set out for me. And it was what was designed for me. And sometimes what happens is when you're trying to find yourself and you're trying to live life authentically, the decisions that we think were God-led, we realize were not. They were self-led. They were ego-led. They were led by factors that had nothing to do with being equally yoked.
I'm actually gonna start. I realized how unserious I am as an individual because that music took me out. The music took me. I was trying to keep a straight face. This is a serious topic, but that music, they knew what they were doing when they added that soft music to the silence. But I digress. Okay, not Jeff Short said, "Okay, give me a second." Um, how do I put this? I think the silence that we just saw was a moment of contemplative regret. Now, this is just my opinion, right? It is contemplative regret. And I think the words that followed after saying that she disappointed her family, which I get that people are disappointed. We're going to talk about that as we go through conversations about our divorce. I think all of that was fine. But when she talked about it not being God led and ego led, that was the excuse for the contemplative regret. That is not a woman who feels confident in the fact that she chose divorce. And as we will discuss here, and I'm not going to pretend I know the stats. I know Uncle Kevin needs to throw out a bunch of stats, but the stat that I always hear is 80% of divorces are filed by women. I was definitely one of those 80%. I would tell you my divorce journey, but I was definitely part of the 80%. And I had a divorce lawyer online who was talking about her clients, most of them clearly being women, and how many of those women actually filed divorce to get their husband's attention, thinking that by filing the divorce, they were somehow going to get a new husband. That man was going to wake up and say, "I don't want to lose my wife," and so they think, you know what, I'm going to do this, and he's going to see that he's about to lose me, like I'm serious. And so, as much as I appreciated that moment that she had, I think I wish she had taken, and again, this is just a small clip. I still actually have to watch the entire episode because I intend to. I think in that particular clip, I wish she had taken some accountability and said, yes, I disappointed everybody, but this is the decision that I made for myself because I thought it was the right thing for me. Because divorce is not for the other person. Divorce is something you choose to do for you because you're not happy or whatever the myriad of reasons are. So that is going to be, I'm going to sum this up before I bring it to Twins. So that's kind of my initial response to the clip. Twins, and I do see that someone is backstage. I will let you in shortly. Twins?
All right, all right, all right. Yeah. So the clip, right? When you asked the question, when why she, not why, whatever the question was about her filing divorce, she took a whole 45 seconds to reflect or get the emotional or, everybody feel all sad for her. You still took your time to go to the court, to fill the documents out, put all that information in. You didn't have all that same energy when you went there. You went there quick as hell. Yes, I didn't go do this, X, Y, Z. So I don't care about that. Whatever. Now, the second part, which she said, was very spot on. Letting family down. You know what I'm saying? The disappointment. As a man, when people ask me how do I feel being divorced, I'm like, I'm happy the process is over, meaning the divorce part, right? As men, you go through it worse than anything. So I'm glad that portion is over with. But, I'm not happy because I never planned to marry to divorce. That was never an option for me at all. Even I don't care what we went through, we did sleep in different rooms or whatever we had to do, we would make it work. So it was never an option for me. And no, I did not file my divorce. So she also falls in that category 80% as well. Anyway, but yes, the disappointment as a man, I look at it as me being a failure for not able to keep my family together, right? So that's how I look at it. So the second part, she was very spot on everything else. That first part, she could have kept that out and stick to her grounds, like stick to her guns. Like don't reflect now that you did it. You should have thought that before even going to the court, having a conversation. You know what I'm saying? So then, say after that question again, you would be all, no, it'd be like, no, we sat down, we talked about it, X, Y, Z, and this is what we did. Instead of the fake tears, they didn't come out. You know what I mean? All that. But I'm done for right now.
Okay, so Jeff is backstage, and Jeff is going to join the conversation. Let me bring Jeff to the stage. Welcome, Jeff, to the conversation. Good evening.
Welcome.
Good evening. How y'all doing?
We're doing well. How about yourself?
Good. Yeah, I'm like twin on that 45-second pause, man. I'm like, come on, man. And it's crazy, man. I can't speak for the other person. I don't want to be like twin said, but I kind of think the men go through it as well. Because I know a couple of years ago, I was seeing these divorce parties and things of that nature, and it's like, wow, like, so you really didn't mean what you said when you walked down the aisle. This is years ago, and it's like now, and it's like going through it, and I could just, I could have did without the 45-second pause, but I can kind of tell she regrets it. And with a lot of that goes with the jealous single friends that didn't really want to see you married and things of that nature. And it's like they was all in your ear. And now that you've broken up your family and you kind of look and you see some of them have moved on. And I tell anybody, man, divorce is ugly. It's selfish. And one thing while you being selfish, the kids get forgot about. The kids go through that stuff too. With us, they see it. And me coming from a 2-parent home, most of all of my family on my dad's side of marriage, so that's all I know and that's all I saw. And so for me to be like the one to get divorced, is like, dang, what? It kind of leaves a stain on you. But I've recovered. I'm remarried now. I've been remarried now 8 years. But going through it, it was rough. So, and I really go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, finish.
No, and I really wish now that I'm in ministry, if I talk to couples and I'm like, man, if it's anything you can do to make this work, because it gets nasty. And like I said, especially if you got kids involved, it's if you can work it out, man. So, but yeah.
I love that. Jeff, are you willing to stay and have this conversation? I have some questions that I would love to ask and discuss. You're fine to go, but if you want to stick around and join the conversation, okay, great. You know what? And I think what's so interesting, and I'm gonna go to the questions in a second, but that divorce party thing has always been interesting to me. It is, as women, sometimes we fake happiness. And we fake the idea that we are so happy to be apart from this person, because it's supposed to be a freedom party, as if you were somehow enslaved, right? Like you were enslaved to this person, and now you're free, and I'm out on these streets. But what happens is they end up like Tia Mowry, who just keeps talking about her marriage because she's realizing that she's on these streets and she should have stayed with her husband, but now her husband is moving on because the streets are better for him and not for us. And I think, I don't know if it's a single friend thing. I can say that's not what I necessarily went through, and my divorce was very different. I'll answer some of these questions myself. But I think it is a selfish thing. Whoever files, like, divorce is selfish because it's about yourself. You're not thinking about the children. You're not thinking about your husband. You're not thinking about your family. You're thinking, I want out of this, and this is the way for me to get out of this. So now, leading into the questions, before I do this, I see Jack Spade has joined. Why are divorces so expensive? Because they're worth every penny.
Also, because you're breaking up a business. That's why it's so expensive.
Mine was cheap, but we can talk about I ain't got no kids, ain't got no assets, I ain't got nothing to split. I just wanted a divorce. So my first question, and I'll start with gentlemen first, whenever you want to go first. When did you first realize your marriage was in trouble?
Okay, I'll jump first. When so I got married in 2009, right? And I'll say 2019. I felt that there was some shaky waters. And during that time frame, I had a sit down conversation with my wife at that time frame. And it was a nice, peaceful conversation, a mature adult conversation. It wasn't a screaming, wasn't a hollering, wasn't pointing fingers. It was just an understanding about where I stand, X, Y, Z, kind of set the tone, right? So I'll stop there to answer that question. So 2019. And I got divorced 2024.
So what? I'm just gonna have follow-up questions, not even on the list. Like, what is it about that time that made you feel like our marriage is in trouble?
Let's get into it. So, I had a conversation with the wife at the time. For me, it was the lack of appreciation. You know what I'm saying? Respect. That was like the two major things, and then finances. Even though finances wasn't the reason why we got divorced, but it's still part of the conversation, or part of why we got to the place where we ended up at. But in order, it would have been appreciation, respect, finances.
And I think that's important. And this is why I encourage all of the men, please send your women friends to these shows, to this show. Send them over to Fuck Your Feelings, because I know they're on the internet and they're watching some of these other shows that are not going to keep it as real. And I know I've been called a pick me and every other name under the book, and I'm fine with that, because I'm willing to have open dialogue and respectful dialogue with men about what they feel. And I think it's so interesting the way you just listed that order. You started with appreciation, not money. You started with appreciation. You're feeling unappreciated by the person you committed to protect and provide for. Did I get that right?
You got it right.
And I think that's the part that we have to understand, is that marriage takes work. And when one party stops working, it fails. It's work on both parties. It's not just one person. And I think it sometimes becomes a one-sided conversation when you're having these dialogue with women, because it's about what he did and what he didn't do, right? It's what he did and what he didn't do. And it's never a conversation about what did you do. So I'm going to pause there. Jeff, I would love to hear your answer about when did you first realize your marriage was in trouble, and then I will take it.
I would say we got married in 2006. I ended up at the job I had. I'd been there for years. Ended up getting laid off, and kind of finances kind of play a part in that. And like once I started to bounce back, I was out of work for a while, maybe a couple of years, and and I recognize it kind of took a toll and a strain on one person. We got kids and stuff like that, so. As around the time when I got back on my feet, and we getting things back together, it kind of felt like the dynamics had shifted. Like okay, well, I'm looking at it as if the shoe had been on the other foot. Hey, for richer or poor, for better or worse, hey, you pick up your partner. But it kind of felt like I was being belittled now. Like, hey, I had to help you do this, and that. I had to, and like. It was a partnership, and it just hanging with friends that you didn't really kick it with before. Now they are kind of like a must, as opposed to, hey, me and you do X, Y, and Z, and it's like, well, me and the girl, we're gonna do, but it's like, hey, it's this us, and so it was that, and it was basically like and I always hear finances does play a part in it, but it was kind of like I felt like the dynamics had changed, and it was like I wouldn't, like I said, kind of like unappreciated or didn't matter as much, like.
Please.
I have a follow-up question. Do you think that would have been different if you had sat down and had a conversation before getting married about what would happen in the bad times in case one of you was unable to work? And making sure that while we were both gainfully employed, there was some type of rainy day fund. Do you think what happened once you became underemployed, if it would have been a little bit different if you guys had kind of stacked that money for this particular situation?
Knowing what I know now, no, because
Mm.
when we first got married, it was a situation where we were looking into buying a house, and it was something that happened that kind of let me know that her side of her mom had a big influence in our relationship. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
So me and her might come together and say, "Hey, this is a good idea," but if her mom's like, "I don't think y'all should do that," and she'll come back to me like, "Well, I don't think this is a good idea," that type of
Oh.
stuff. Yeah, the influence of the other side of the family too. I forgot that part, but yeah.
Mm.
So Jeff, good question. When you got married, how your first marriage? How old were you?
26.
Okay, so he was 26 when he got his first marriage, and I was 28, right? So,
Mhm.
One thing I learned is that a lot of things we didn't know at a young age, right? And for
Right.
me, I didn't have my dad died when I was 15, and then
Mm.
there was really no other men to kind of give me that conversation about what to expect from marriage, right? So for me, I was really learning as I go, right? Now,
Mhm.
now me and my wife, we both work at the same time, right? So that but you know, when you read on vows to each other through sickness and health and XYZ, like that right there's like I don't gotta we really don't gotta talk about what if I get hurt. That's something we both like we're getting married, so I would assume because you
Right.
too that
Mm.
if something would
Mm.
happen, you're going to step up, right? And
Right.
your situation is like once you once you got laid off, whatever happened in your situation, you kind of lost your manpower because like, oh, he ain't the man no more because I got to pay the bills now. So now she's working, making her own money now, and hanging out with her friends. It feel like she feel her own independence. Like, well, I don't need you no more because I've been holding it down because you ain't. You know what I'm saying? She kind of resented you for your situation that you was in. If that makes sense, what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you factor in that she had her mother in her ear, which that was definitely
Yes,
not a help
yeah.
for you as well. Because I'm pretty sure her mom knew that you lost your job, right? I can almost guarantee
Right.
that. Mom in the air, she knew too. And her mom in the air, like, girl, you ain't in bed with him. He ain't doing this. He a man. Well, he ain't. You know how that goes. I think we all know how it goes without even knowing all your details. And one
Right.
thing I would say for anyone who's listening, when you marry somebody, you got to keep your friends, not friends. You got to keep. You got to keep everyone out your business. Family doesn't matter. No one. It's between you and your wife, or your wife and your
Amen.
husband. Because
Amen.
at the end of the day, when stuff happens like that scenario, people outside will come up with their own logic or the way how they look at certain people, right? Imagine that she didn't have a relationship with her mom like that. So y'all two going through XYZ, she's working. Her mom don't know that you lost your job, right? Her mom probably thinking that, you still doing what you got to do. And that may change the whole dynamic of the marriage where y'all don't even separate because there's no outside ear, no one outside talking to her, pumping her head up. So what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not saying that's the reason why. We're just speaking from what we hear and just give an example and speak on it. Keep people out your business.
Amen.
It's simple. Because even if you get an argument, you and your wife get an argument, whatever, and you tell your family whatever, they would mad at that person because what they did. But meanwhile, y'all two done made up. Y'all done made love. Y'all kissed. Y'all went out. Y'all loved each other. Y'all can build a very strong. But them outside still don't like what he did or what she did. So I'll put the pin there. But the moral of the story is keep people out your business. Marriage.
True. I tell them all the time, man. And like I said, then her mother has never been married, and it
Oh
was like
no.
it was like so one sided. Like I said, most of my family, my dad's side is all married. My cousin that's my age, we are married. We hang out. it's a different dynamic. It's a family vibe. It ain't no wilding out. It's like we enjoying ourselves and this and that. But like when I go to her side of the family for family function, it's like you don't know what's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? So because nobody's married, no family dynamic,
Mhm.
and even I told her before we got married, I was like, no, after we got married, I was like, you know what? I said, a lot of your friends and your cousins, they kind of jealous of you. And she was like, how so? It's like you finna be on a whole nother level from them. So and it's like, yeah, so and me doing
Married
counsel
no
now,
company. Mm-hmm.
right. And me doing counsel now, I tell people when I married them, the last part, with speak now, here, hold your peace. I said, speak now or forever stay out of these people's business. And so 'cause it's gonna be them. I tell them, I said once y'all kids and say I do, it's on y'all. All the wedding parties
Right.
and all this and that, they gonna be gone. They'll eat, drink, and dance, and after that, it's on y'all too. That's when the clock starts. So yeah.
Amen. Amen. Jack has put an answer here as well. I'm actually going to wait till it pops up on the phone. That's in front of me. So Jack has said how he knew that his marriage was in trouble. He said, when the wife broke two of my cardinal sins: one, don't implement stupid advice from friends and family members, and two, don't mess up the money because it's what's keeping us moving forward. Thank you, Jack Spade, for that. And I want to go back to something that you said, Twins, about when you go into marriage and certain conversations you overlook because those vows are supposed to really mean something. I think we understand now at our big age, right? Those conversations need to be had, right? We go into the idea of marriage very idealistic and not realistic. We're caught up in the love, and those vows really are supposed to mean something, for better, for worse, in sickness and in health. Even though I have seen women online changing those vows, and that irritates the Jesus out of me. But those traditional vows are supposed to mean something. But I think we are old enough now to understand those conversations have to be had. What does it look like for us in the bad? What does it look like for us in the worst? And what is the worst for us that it would be willing for you to walk away from for better or worse, right? I'm going to have that conversation going into my second marriage. God, dead daddy, I hope it happens sooner than later. It's hard to speak. But like I think we are old enough to now know that these conversations are important to have. Now, my marriage is a little different than both of yours. My husband was in these streets, and when I first realized that my marriage was truly in trouble, was not baby number one that he had outside of the marriage, but possibly babies number two and three.
Wow.
So I said, "Hey, girl, oh, girl." So I sat down and I had no, actually, I didn't really actually sit down and have a conversation. I'm going to tell you exactly what happened. So my husband, we were long distance. We lived in different places. My husband was in the military. He was in the Air Force in Vegas. I was in Toronto, Canada, which is where I grew up. We got together. I went out to Vegas. I had said to him, and this is where my fault or whatever, I said to him, anything you did prior or are doing prior to me landing in Las Vegas at this time, you stop it. Cut it off. I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to pretend that you weren't doing what you were doing. Like, let's not pretend that, right? But it's done. Cut it off. It's over. He said, yes, we never discussed it. I got there in October of 2007. We got married in May of 2008. The first baby was born in March 31st, 2008, 6 weeks before we got married. He happened to see the baby mother on his bachelor night, the night before we got married, never said anything to me until November of that year when I came back to Toronto and I got a phone call about this baby that needed to have a DNA test done. I said, okay, because guess what? I married you for better or worse. And holy shit, This is worse. However, this baby had been conceived before I landed in October. So if I'm going to stand on business, it happened before I told you to wrap everything up. And so technically, you didn't cheat on me. That's what I said to myself. Now, the caveat to it is I'm actually the product of an affair. My parents had an affair, and that's how I was born. And so I think part of me was sensitive to that fact as well. It got nothing to do with this baby. This baby didn't have to be here. It is what it is. Moving forward, we moved past this. We're working through this. I then find out not only did he have a baby with this woman, she called me and told me about the fact that my husband didn't come home that night because he was in her Patty Patty Woo Ha. Thank you, Jack Spade. I actually put that in a book I'm writing, Patty Patty Woo Ha. She happened to call me. She happened to call me an hour after I found out my cousin in Jamaica had been shot 35 times. So I got that phone call, and an hour later, I got a phone call from the mother of this child telling me my husband had left her house and whatever. I said nothing. When she said, "Do you have anything to say?" I said, "No, thank you." And I called my husband because my beef was with my husband. It was not with this woman who was clearly trying to get under my skin. And I called my husband. He came home from the military. He's at work. We live on base. He leaves his station and his ass is home. We have this conversation. He begs me not to leave. I said, okay. The DNA test I found out about on the phone call, the baby was his. I said, listen, I'm not even worried about this. The baby is the most important thing. This is your child. We're going to raise her together. So like 3 or 4 days after that, the baby was at our house. I went and bought the baby new clothes. Like I was doing the thing. I was like, forget all this. There's too much going on. We're going on. Things are good. And then I hear about babies number 2 and 3, which are twins, by Facebook. Because the mother reached out to me on Facebook. Because of course I had married too. My husband was tagged. So when he stopped responding to her about the twins, she reached out to me, his wife. She wrote me a lovely message. I read the message. I said to my husband, there is a message for you. He reads the message. He writes some not so nice words. I read them and I say to this woman, I said, just so you're very clear, that was not from me, that was from him. And if these are his children, as long as I am married to him, they will be taken care of. I put it away. I continued to play the jewels. My husband was looking at me. He said, do you have anything to say? I said, nope. He said, Toshiba, for as long as I've known you, you've never not had anything to say. I said, nope, I have nothing to say. And it was less than a month later, I left the day after Father's Day. I made him have Father's Day with the kids. It was my daughter and his daughter that I was raising. I made it have time with the kids. I told him I was going away for a little bit to visit a friend, to get some, and I just never turned back. I did believe in better and worse. My issue with it is you are now going out and being careless. You are actually just being careless. Because there's 1 baby, potentially 3 babies. So you're actually going out having unprotected sex with women with not a care in the world for your wife, even though you beg your wife to stay, and then tell your wife that she's better than any of these women. Well, clearly not. So that is how I realized my marriage was not working.
So question, when you left, did you tell me you was going to get milk?
Basically. No, for real. I told him I was going to a friend. I needed a break. I needed a little break. And what was supposed to be like a month, a couple of weeks, just I never went back. He ended up like burning my clothes. It was a whole thing. Like he was not happy with me. He was not, because I think for him he thought because I had dealt with the first baby, I would deal with these, and these ones he was convinced were not his. He was like, these are not my babies. That like the first one he had he was like, yeah, that's likely my baby, and she looked up like that. He's like, these are not my babies, babe. Like this woman's just coming, blah 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 blah. And I think it wasn't even so much about the kids again. It was about because you were being careless. You were actually just going out there slinging pee in women's patty woo-haws without the thought of the consequences of what was going to happen between you and I in this marriage. So that was a lot. Sorry guys, but that was how I knew my marriage was in trouble.
That was a lot. That was a lot. So
Yeah.
So I had to go, even though I'm part of the 80%. There is at this point no way I could have made the marriage work because the trust was irrevocably broken. Like I was now concerned for my health, and though my daughter wasn't his, I had already had to explain to her at the time why there was one baby coming in the house that me and her stepdad didn't have together. Now, if these other two were his, I would have to turn around to her and say why two additional children were coming in the house that me and her stepdad didn't have, that her mom was out raising. Like that was a message that I was not willing to send to my daughter, who was like 6 or 7 at the time, right? Like I just wasn't willing because I had to protect her as her mother, and I can only imagine what would have happened in her mind with everything that I would have allowed to happen in a marriage. I could not do that. I couldn't do it. So I left. But you know, we'll talk about that. How I dealt with the whole divorce. Okay, the next question is, and for some people this is important, how did your family and friends react when you told them you were getting a divorce? And Jack Spade, if you're still online, I'd also love to hear your answer to that. Twin?
let's see. They were indifferent, right? They're like, oh, you know, you sure you can? I mean, they was like, you guys sure you can't work it out? I'm like, trust me, because I'm very private in my relationship, so my family really don't know besides the main stuff, like, hey, get married. Hey, you know, that's all I knew. When I was dating somebody, get married, here's the wedding date, X, Y, Z, that was it. So, you know, when I told them that was happening, they said, well, do this, do that. Already done already. Because you know what I'm saying? I didn't wake up one day and be like, you know what, I want to be divorced. No, there's a process. There's been counseling, there've been pastors, there've been friends, communication, all that, therapy, all that. So everything there was something to do, I was already doing it. Trust me, this is not something this is something that I wanted to do, right? Still didn't want to do it. You know what I'm saying? It was just that's what she wanted to do. So yeah, they were indifferent. They wanted to work, you know what I'm saying? Of course, their thoughts were the kids, you know what I'm saying? And I can say, luckily, thank God, I can say this, that my kids were unscathed throughout the whole process.
Love that.
So, you know, school grades, nothing went down. They like having their own room over here and room over there, you know. So son, like, I need PS5 over now, Dad. I got spent on top of everything else. But the fact that they had the room over here, they're good. And I'm really like, I'm about less than a mile away from my kids too. So that's also.
I love that.
But like I said, overall, family, you know, they wanted it at work, and then afterwards, it's like be supportive, and like if you need anything, I'm here. So yeah.
Love that. Jeff.
Yeah, because we live in like a small town, and the divorce was kind of like a shock to me. I know she had been, you know, we had been separated. We separated like in 2015, and so I ended up, not by my choice, but having to move out and relocate. So I moved back to my hometown, which is like maybe 25, 30 minutes away, so not that far. And so through the whole time, you know, I'm reaching out to the pastor that did our wedding. You know, he was kind of like the mediator, but we were never able to get all three of us together. You know, he would say I would meet with him, and we would meet, and he would like, well, I'm supposed to meet with her, and she would never show up, or
Wow.
and she just go, you know, it was in his. I would check back monthly, you know, like, hey, you know, I would leave messages or calls. She would never respond. It was like for 15 months. And, you know, I got served with the divorce papers, and I'm like, dang, really gonna do this? And so talked to some of her family. They were like, nah, she really ain't gonna go through it. She just kind of mad right now. It'll kind of blow over. So I'm holding out hope. and I'm having to meet with the lawyers, and I'm like, I don't believe in divorce. And he's like, well, we could just do a no fault. And I'm like, bro, I'm trying to tell you, I'm not signing nothing because I don't believe in it, and I think we can actually work it out. And this is like May 2016. So he's like, yeah, we're gonna set you a court date. You'll get the correspondence and this and that. And so out of the blue, like July 2016, I get divorce papers. Hey, it's already went through, and you are no longer married. I'm like, wow. So it
Oh,
was,
wow.
yeah. And which it puzzles me sometimes when people be like, well, my spouse won't sign the divorce papers, it won't go through. And I'm like, well, I don't know what she did, but ours went through, and it was no fault. And I was supposed to get. I'm waiting on my day in court to say my piece, or maybe we can work it out. And it was like already done. And I got the divorce papers like 3 weeks after the fact. Matter of fact, the day I was supposed to be in court for that, it was my son's birthday, and I had the kids with me for his birthday, and we were all hanging out, and I dropped them back off at home to her. Nothing was said, and then I'm still waiting on this date, and I missed it because one, I didn't get the notification, and it was crazy, man. So
That is a lot. Thank you for sharing. I know how she did it. My husband also would have gotten the same thing. Mine didn't take as quick as yours, but how my family reacted, there was some disappointment. Like twins, I didn't talk a lot of my business. Like there are people who had no idea what I was going through at all because our business was our business and what happened in our house was what's in our house. I think my mama would have to actually watch the show to hear the story I just told. My mom doesn't know any of this. And so when I had a conversation to this day, and we're talking 16 years later, so when I told my mom that I was getting a divorce and it was coming back, she was definitely disappointed, and it was do you want to make it work and blah blah blah. And I was like, no, it's just not going to work. I actually even in the divorce, I wanted to protect his image to my family, like especially my mom. My mom thought very highly of him coming in and being a stepfather and all of those things. And because I also had a phenomenal father, like she wanted that. And as much as my daughter's father was involved, my mother still believed in having the mother and father in the household and raising in this very nuclear family. So for her, it was disappointment and hope that it would work. And again, I never wanted to tarnish his name to her. And so I didn't tell her. I was just like, it's not working. I got to get home and all of that stuff. So it's definitely disappointment. And I was disappointed in myself because I felt like I had failed, despite the fact that I didn't do anything. To me, I still was like, there had to be something missing from me for him to do all of that. And it wasn't a blame or an ego thing, but I was like, there is something. Despite him telling me there's nothing, despite me not even being able to see anything, I was like, there has to be something because he still made these choices. I was clearly not enough of what he needed. Now, as for the divorce thing, I will tell you, Jeff, my divorce took many years, even though I separated from my ex in 2009. My divorce didn't actually go through until 2022. My husband probably doesn't even know we're divorced because I went through a no-serve divorce. And how I was able to do that is I proved to the court I was unable to locate him. And I had made attempts throughout the years to do so, text message, everything that I was doing, because lawyers were trying to charge me this exuberant amount of money because I actually could not find him. My ex-husband's not on social media. He's not on anything. Like I had to get private investigators and all these different things. So when I presented that to the court and they saw that I'd been making attempts for over a decade to get this divorce, emails from like 2010, they allowed me to have a no serve divorce. But I had to prove on my side that I couldn't go through the process. And after a decade, like nobody wants a person trapped in a marriage for that long. How your ex-wife was able to do that, only the good Lord knows, because you were 30 minutes away. I don't know where my ex-husband is. He could be anywhere in the 50 states in the United States. So that's that. I actually have a couple more questions, and I think this is the one that I think I want people to really listen to. And I'm going to not answer it because my divorce is very different. But for you gentlemen, what was the biggest misconception you had about divorce before you went through it?
I didn't have any.
Did you even think about it? Like it was because again, you said in the beginning, like I got married to be married. So did divorce ever cross your mind throughout your marriage?
Never. Never. For me, no. What I said, divorce was never an option for me. Maybe separate.
Mm.
But I mean, I grew up in my era, right? When I, 80s baby, where sometimes parents will separate and they come back together and then they'll keep chucking on like nothing ever happened. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Right. But it was never an option for me. Like she told me to file, right? After separation. So let me give you more details. So so after 2019, after having a conversation, I waited 3 years for change to happen. Change never happened. So I just said I want to get separated. Well, she told me, well, just be done. So she told me just, file for divorce, which was never my plan. So anyway, if it was up to me, I went online and filled papers out, but I still never went to the court to get anything signed or stamped or anything. So if she didn't go behind my back and file, I still be in the house with her. We still be, like in limbo. Because it was never my plan to get a divorce. So I was never ever going to the court and asking the government for help or assistance. That was never my plan. So that's why I said it was never. So the conceptions, I don't know. I mean, I know from the jump shit that at the end of the day, I'm gonna get broomstick. You know what I'm saying? I knew it wasn't gonna be fair for me, and it wasn't. So yeah, I'll let that from there.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't get married to get divorced, and like I said, on pretty much on my side of the family, like that's all I see and know is marriage. So I didn't see no divorces. That was all foreign to me. So I guess the biggest misconception I had is like you have to be like this terrible person, or when you think of divorce, like who cheated or who did X, Y, and Z. But just to see how easy it is just to go down and say, hey, this ain't working, and I can show that he don't stay here, and let's get the paperwork rolling. And I was like, dang, it's that easy. Like so I didn't file, and like for it to just go like that, like I always thought, you had to be like this terrible whole spouse and being abusive and things of that nature. And like, okay, yeah, you get divorced, but for somebody just like, you know what, I'm tired of this, and you just go do it.
So I do want to piggyback what he said. So one thing, so definitely misconception is that you will the attorneys on both sides, plaintiff or defendant, doesn't matter. They will try to make you be a villain.
Yep.
So my attorney said, you need to do this. I'm not doing none of that. And that's the one thing that makes frustrating, because even though my attorney wanted me to do X, Y, Z, I said, I'm not doing that. So you have a choice of picking and choosing the villain, you know what I mean, or anti-hero, whatever you want to call it. So my attorney was trying to make me do X, Y, Z. I said, I'm not doing all that. And you get the final say. They can say, well, I want you to do actually this. I want you to do that. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. And then I'm paying you. So like, okay, Mr. Harrington, this is what we'll do. Right. But in fact, but on the other side, she wanted to be the villain, which it made no sense to me, because I did nothing throughout the whole entire marriage where it make you think that I will have you and the kids messed up for the rest of your life. You know what I'm saying? So you made yourself a villain for no reason. You know what I'm saying? You fighting me, but I'm not fighting back. Like that was my divorce. Like she's fighting me, but I'm not fighting. I'm like, take it. Take this. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to fight this. I want it to be done. And I said it because my divorce took 2 years to go through without me fighting. Like when I say me not fighting, I'm telling you, I didn't fight nothing. Like I gave whatever. Try to be much fairer in most cases, but I gave. So it wasn't me trying to fight it. I was trying to be done. It was up to me. I've been divorced in 90 days. It was up to me. Me after she filed, right? You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I never planned, but I was trying to do non-contest. Apparently, she made it contest, and that's why mine went 2 years.
Yeah, I agree with Twin on that part, like the villain part, and just to read the first paragraph, when you get those, like, that's not me, you know, and you have a choice to sign off on that or agree to this. And then I had a friend of mine who went through a divorce, and it was crazy. Like the first paragraph read exactly like mine. Only thing different was his name and social security number and address. It was like,
Exactly.
yeah, this guy, he willfully did this. He neglected it. I'm like, no, it didn't happen like that.
Yes.
And it's like, why not just say, if you really want to be done, just say, I got tired of being married. Just be real with it. But they paint this picture of, and it was crazy. Like I said, when I read his, I was like, this is exactly like mine. Just the name and the address was different.
And also too, ladies and gentlemen, it's a money pit.
Oh yeah.
For attorneys, because there's nothing dealing with the court is fast. I'll tell you this: nothing dealing with the court is fast. Getting court dates, getting this done, nothing is fast. Everything's gonna take weeks, sometimes months. And then if you get an attorney, you want to be like, "Oh, I'm on vacation this time frame. We got to push the court date back another 2 more months, and then get put back on the schedule." Then it's Labor Day weekend. Oh, I'm out of office. That's me. And then the attorney keep racking up, because regardless, you gotta pay your attorney. You got to keep some money on deck, so you got to keep paying that $1,500 every couple months.
My divorce is cheap. My divorce is cheap. My advice to people is try to keep the lawyers out of your business. If you can actually do it where it's uncontested and you guys just go your separate way, pay the filing fee, pay whatever other fee. I had a paralegal do my divorce. I paid the filing fee and I paid her fee. She put everything through the court. She did what she needed to do. I signed my divorce was less than $1,000. Like, bingo, bango, off we go, because there was nothing to fight for. I guess in my situation, we had no kids. We had been separated for so many years. But even if we hadn't been, when I initially told him that we should get a divorce, I wasn't fighting him on anything. I didn't want his pension. I didn't want anything. I was like, I just want us to separate and be done and have this paper, like, say that we're divorced. So that was my thing. And I think what's interesting, gentlemen, is here's the thing. Your wives weren't playing the villain. They were playing the victim. That's what they were playing. They made you the villain by playing the victim.
Right.
Because you're more sympathetic as a victim. And the courts will give you more as a victim. And I'm also with you. My advice to the ladies is if you don't want to be married, simply just say, I don't want to be married. Not that he's a bad guy. I simply no longer want to be Mrs. Whomever because I prefer it on this side of the aisle where I'm single. There's nothing wrong with that. You can also have a cordial conversation with the man that you said you were going to do forever with and talk about how do we make this work for both of us. There is a way to make divorce work for both of you. There is a way to have a conversation where you both walk away not feeling like you got, you know what I'm saying? Like, and a lot of men walk away from divorces when I talk to them feeling like they got up the ass without lubrication, right? And I don't think it has to be that way, especially to both of you gentlemen's point, when there isn't cheating, when there isn't abuse, when there isn't all of these other factors, because I'm actually with you. Had my husband did not done all of this, I actually was going to forgive him for the baby and the first infidelity. It was the everything after that, because for me, that for better or for worse really was for better or for worse. But you start adding infidelity and all of these different things, plus I'm adjusting as a military wife, which is, if any of you have ever been in the military, you know, like it is difficult. Serving in the military, it's also just difficult being a wife to someone serving in the military. So I'm dealing with all of these and a culture shock because I'm Jamaican, living in Vegas. And it was just a whole thing, right? And I think we can just be honest with each other when we just don't want to do this anymore. And instead of like bringing the courts into our business in the way that a lot of women have chosen to do. This was a man you laid with, had babies with, planned a life with. You can also plan a divorce with them. I mean, I don't, regardless if your husband wants to not get a divorce, I think he also doesn't want to be screwed up the ass without lubrication. So I will say that. Couple of more questions. Looking back, is there anything you wish you had done differently during that breakup phase?
Yeah, for me, I feel like I could have done a little bit more. I mean, I already feel like I was already doing enough. Honestly, I ain't gonna lie, I feel like I was doing enough. But I feel like there's a few more things I could have did better or differently. But at the end of the day, it still takes two people to tango. You know what I mean? I can't keep pouring to someone whose cup is already full.
Ooh.
You know, you gotta give me some. You gotta give me an inch of something to pour into you. So it still goes both ways. I could be fighting all day, but if you ain't fighting back, what's the point? Message.
That's a good one, Jeff.
Nah, during the breakup phase, like I reached out, called, no responses. You know, I would come through and get my kids every weekend, you know, and things that is just seeing the hurt in them. But I don't know. I heard from some females like say, well, once they've checked out, they've checked out. So I guess she was really checked out because, like, you know, she would respond like, "Hey, I'm getting off work. It's the weekend. I'm come through and get the kids." Okay, boom. Before is, "Hey, you want to let's see, can we work this out or this and that?" No response. Calls, no response. So yeah, I tried.
I'm gonna say, and I appreciate, and it sounds like you actually both tried. When I hear about therapy and pastors and having conversations and really trying to pour back into something, these are men who are making attempts to ensure that their marriages stay intact. But I think for you, Jeff, and I'm saying this as respectfully as possible, you had lost her because she lost respect for you. Her respect for you was tied to your ability to provide for her. When you couldn't provide, she could no longer respect you.
I've heard that.
It makes sense.
And that's what happened. And I think that's the part as women I have to challenge as women. Take away money. Why are you marrying this man?
That's
And I
good.
think that is a question you need to put, Jeff, in your counseling. I'm really good at what I do, by the way. My degree is in psychology.
Okay.
But no, I think that's a question I would challenge all women to answer. Men, you can answer it too, but again, we are groomed, and trust me, I had a father who believed that a man should be a protector and provider and didn't approve of me marrying one of my fiancés because he didn't have enough money to support me. My daddy was like, "Do you have enough money to support her?" He said, "I'm working on it." He said, "Well, you don't get to marry her until you have enough money to support her." Like, you know, I'm not about to give you my daughter and then she still has to come to me to support her. Like, my daddy was very much a provider, right? So he wasn't having it. So I think as women, when we say we love these men, and it's yes, oh my God, I do, oh my God. Taking that moment aside, if there is no money, if you take away his financial abilities, why are you marrying this man? What do you love about this man beyond his ability to protect and provide? Because there's certain traits and qualities that a man is going to have that even if he hits rock bottom, he's going to be able to bring himself back up. Tenacity, ambitious, being a hard worker, right? Like all of these different things that help. Because guess what? Scammers in Miami who are scamming old people, they've got money, but do they have integrity? Are they ambitious? They can't be. They're scamming old people. Are they driven? Are they hardworking? Are they motivating? Are they inspiring? Are they all of these qualities? So that's the answer I would want to be able to say about my future husband. Take away his ability to provide. Here are all the things he is that if we do meet hard times, I know that we're going to be fine because these are characteristics that are built within him that he's not going to stay down. But sometimes, here's the part, sometimes you need that moment to be down, to recalibrate, to figure it out. It's that Issa Rae thing. If anybody here watched Insecure, We saw what Lawrence went through in Insecure. Lawrence had a moment, like he had a moment because as a man, you also have your badge of honor is your ability to protect and provide for your family. So the moment you can't protect and provide, you are also going through the emotional challenges and the mental challenges that come with this idea that as a man, I am failing. But the issue that we have as women is we're not looking at that. We're looking at your failing. We don't care how you feel about failing. You're failing. What are you going to do? Stop failing me. Now I have to do more. Now this. Now my friends, if they've got friends talking in the ear, or the mama, or the unmarried aunties, and all of those, and they're usually unmarried folks. Most married women are not going to advise married women to leave their husbands when they're going through financial insecurity moments. Single
Fact.
women will do that.
Facts.
My married friend would never, because she's seen what having a good, strong man, regardless, has meant to her life. My married friends would never. But would I have a single friend or two that would say that? Probably.
True. I agree. I agree 100% with what you said. And like I said, but me thinking, like twins say, the vows, they kick in, they really supposed to be enacted. But like for the first 4.5 years, I provided protect. Hey, when I came into the picture, why you working two jobs? Hey, this job, I got this. She had a daughter already. Living with aid and all that type of stuff. I'm like, look, we finna get out of the project. We finna try to build as a family. So I'm thinking the example had been set. And at this point, I have never been laid off before. So it like when it just happened, it was like a shock for me and just going through it. But I get what you're saying. She was looking at like the provision, and I know it was a lot of the outside noise. Oh, he ain't working now. This and it. But like, how did you get to this point? So yeah, but I totally agree with you said.
Let me just say, I'm going to give you your flowers, Jeff, right now. That is the mother of your children, so I will not say anything about her, but I will speak to you directly as a man. I commend you for taking a woman who had a child by another man who was on government assistance and trying to build a family with her. And I apologize on behalf of all women that during the time when you needed her the most, she abandoned you when she knew what it felt like to be abandoned.
Mm. Message.
Right. Thanks.
That was a bar too.
Oh yeah.
I
Bars.
do what I can, rhythm and flow. No, and I think we have to be honest, and I understand why stories like yours make men tentative to go into relationships with women who already have children, right? Like, and now you have a child and you're on government assistance. I am blessed that I've never had to have the government pay my rent in any way, shape, or form, or look for the government for food. I've always been able to maintain and sustain. So I could not imagine a man coming into my life, giving me a better life, helping me to elevate myself, which also elevates the life of my child, who's the most important person in my life, and then turning around and then abandoning him, knowing what that feels like. Because if you're on government assistance, that means that the baby daddy's likely not doing what he's supposed to be doing to make sure that the child, is taken care of. So, you know what? Like I said, ladies, we have some work to do. We have some work to do. A couple more questions. I've got two more, actually. What's something you wish someone had told you before marriage and divorce?
Before marriage, I would go back to what we said earlier. Asking those tough questions. You know, and that's what me and my wife does now. We said, hey, we're gonna learn from our mistakes from our past marriages, and we have those conversations, and it's healthy. People are afraid
Mm.
to have. Why would you be afraid to have tough conversations with a person you see every day, you lay down with, you do everything with? So that was, when you go through counseling, they give you generic stuff, don't go to bed mad and all that type of stuff. But nobody ever said, hey, you got to have those tough conversations. And I think that would have helped a little bit, having those tough conversations. And what was the last part of the question?
And then before, what advice do you wish somebody had given you before divorce? So that was before marriage. Now before divorce, do you wish that someone had given you advice? And if what? And so what?
I guess I don't know. Fight extra hard. Like I said, I did all I could, but you can't really make somebody want you. So, but I don't really have one for that one.
I know it's a tough one. Twins.
All right. So before marriage, kind of same thing as well about the tough conversations, right? Accountability. Accountability. That would be something huge. Meaning that what does that look like in marriage from your point of view and my point of view, right? Because I mean that's something that I learned that at the end of the day is there something that somebody don't want to do in the marriage, you can't make them do it. If somebody don't want to do something, there's nothing you can do to make them do it. It's something that they gotta want to do, right? So having that accountability conversation is key. Yeah. And then before divorce, where the camera at? Camera, I always want to do that. What a camera? Which one? Oh, I ain't got one, y'all. But anyway, camera. Fellas. My married men, okay? If you're married and you see the writing on the wall, F that. Go and file. Be in the driver's seat. If I knew about being in the driver's seat, I could have saved me $170K if I put myself in the driver's seat. Meaning me being the plaintiff, not defendant. Because when you defend it, you got to defend yourself against every false allegation. True. If you're the plaintiff, I'd have been divorced within 90 days because I didn't want anything. So it'd have been like, here's what I want, here's what I'm filing, X, Y, Z, and that's it. So so fellas, we could change that number. Forget the ego that, I'm a man, I ain't gonna, no, trust me, it's gonna save you a lot more money. Go and be the plaintiff and file. If she made it very clear to you that it's not going to work, you talk and you keep talking, and nothing changes, you know what? You said enough. Go and file. Trust me. If somebody told me that, I'd be in a much better place than I am now. I'm good, but I could be a lot, 170K better.
I love that. Listen, great advice, great answers. I echo the same thing. Like I don't really have much to add to it. I wish I'd had different conversations before the marriage and didn't go into it with this idealistic lens of I love you, you love me, and so this makes sense that we get married and do forever. And my divorce again was something else. So there's no advice anybody could have given me for a 13-year bloody separation. But I digress. My last question of the night about this divorce. Did divorce change how you think about relationships?
For me, just a smidget. I'm always gonna say a smidget because I'm not gonna do what most people do when in a relationship. They bring their past trauma or whatever it is into the new relationship. I understand that's a chapter of my life that it's over with. I'm not gonna treat the next woman as if she's my ex-wife, or you know what I'm saying? Like so believe it or not, I'm actually open to get remarried again, X, Y, Z. But I might do little things a little different, a lot more detailed conversation, a lot of accountability. What this look like in X, Y, Z, and your answer gotta be airtight. If it ain't airtight, I'm gonna go move to the left. But
Not to the left.
Yes, to the left. I'm gonna be on my Beyonce ish. You know what I'm saying? Pack the ish to the left. Because I see red flags early, you're gone. But yeah, that's it. I'm not going to carry that previous luggage over to any new relationship. So it's crazy because they're like, "Are you ready to date? Are you ready?" Yeah, I'm ready. Trust me, I can move. I can shut that down and keep it moving. It's the past. It's the history. You learn from it, keep it moving. But I'm not going to be like, I'm not going to be happy the rest of my life now because I don't want to go through that process again. No, a different man than I was at 28 when I got
Yeah.
married. Now I'm
Yeah.
42 plus going forward. My picking, my logic, the way I think now is totally different. I'm not a young man. I'm an older man now. Still young though, but I'm just more wiser. I'll land my plane.
I love that. Jeff,
What was it? What was the first one?
did divorce change how you think about relationships?
Yeah, it did. It kind of let me know that people can say one thing, but their actions don't match. And moving forward, like I said, I've remarried now. Um,
Amen.
Amen. I know. I was like, amen. Come
right,
on.
right, with the having the tough conversations, something I didn't do in the previous relationship. Me and my wife now, we was like, hey, we're gonna if it's something, don't let it fester overnight. You see, hey, address it at the moment. Let's attack this situation instead of festering on it, and it actually creates a healthy conversation piece and environment. It's like the peace in your home. So yeah, and it also made me look at, like, you know what you want and you go for it. So if somebody's not meeting the standards or wasting your time, I'm 45. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if it's not worth it, like, I'm not time for playing games and all this. I know what I want. I know what I'm looking for. I know the goal I'm trying to meet. And if you're not trying to do that, you're wasting my time. So yeah, just address those red flags and have those conversations. That's what it's all.
Look at that, dropping gems, Jeff, dropping gems. Everything you said, spot on. Like I said, we're at this age now. I know what I want now. I know what I want to do.
Yeah.
If that's something you want to do, I'm keep it moving. So
Yeah.
spot on. And Jeff, one question for you: how long you and your new wife been together?
We've been married 8 years now.
Amen.
I love that.
8 years.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Mrs. Jeff out there, if you listen next to him, I appreciate you giving my man grace. You know what I mean? Because it's not an easy process dealing with a divorced man. So I thank you for your patience. Because I know you have to conversation. You're like, God damn, what else you want to know? Trust me, I know. So salute to her. Salute to both of y'all. Continue of your wonderful blessing. Because at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, on this show, we do want men and women to be together. You know what I'm saying? We're not here to say, no, don't be with him, don't be with her, black people, woman, black man. No, we're not doing that. We need to be together as one, right? We just got to make better decisions, hold each other accountable, loving each other, and make this thing work. Because overall, if more couples together, our generation can change. Because we need a mother and father in the household together to raise our little ones. You know what I'm saying? We need that. That's what's hurting the black community as a whole, right? We need each other. So we need to stop fighting against each other and be one with each other, right? If somebody's not what you want, that's fine. Move to the left, move to the right, find out one. There's somebody for everyone. Okay? I'm done.
Before I give my answer, I'm just being nosy, Jeff, and you can choose not to answer this. Has your ex-wife remarried?
No.
We knew that. You knew that answer. You already knew that. You didn't have that.
I absolutely knew the answer. And that's why I asked the question, because I literally wanted this to be a teaching moment without Toshiba having to say anything. That, ladies, is often what happens, is that we divorce men who do end up finding other women and remarrying while you're still over there looking at grass that you thought was green, but it was actually brown grass disguised as green grass.
And
water your own grass. Water your own grass. Water your own grass. Water your own grass. Don't allow other people to water your grass for you. Don't be looking at other people's green grass. Water your own grass. And I think that was, looking at divorce. I will say, because my divorce took so long and because of the situations, like, I had to learn a lot about myself. I actually took a more positive lens to relationships as opposed to going very negative. I learned a lot about myself. Communication has been something that's been big for me. Patience with myself and with another person. When you are merging life, for me especially, because I generally date men on your side of the border, and so I'm coming in culturally as a Jamaican woman, growing up in Toronto, Canada, that's different. Having to understand the plight of a Black American man who may not even understand my culture, and so we're learning a lot of that. And so patience and communication and being committed to the commitment of being together, right? Because I think some people are committed to you, but are you committed to the commitment that you've made of being together? But also understanding when the red flags are there and saying, you know what, as much as this thing is a thing, like we're just going in different directions. We want different things. And also for me, it was communicating exactly what it is that I want. This is what I want, and if you're on this train ride with me, let's do it. But if not, let's not even waste each other's time. So I think it's all about how you frame your mind around that. And twins, especially you being the freshest off of your divorce, I applaud you for being in a space that even now you can say, I would absolutely do this marriage thing again. I would absolutely do this. Like you say it without hesitation, and I applaud you because that actually takes work, especially when you put out that fake figure that you had to pay for your divorce. That would make a man gun shy.
Trust me. I listen. A couple months ago, I'm like, hell no, I'm not getting married again. No, hell to the no. But that was just that mad phase. You know what I'm saying? So I'm past that phase now, right? All right. Whew, I'm alive, kids as well. I'm doing good. It was just it sting. You know what I'm saying? So all right, shake it off, man. I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I'm good.
I actually love that. I love that. So I'm going to wrap up this part. I am going to do two of our regular questions, but I hope if you're watching, whether you're watching live or you're watching the replay of this, please like, share, and subscribe and comment. We would love to hear your stories. I would love to have a panel of men and women having these conversations. I applaud Jeff for coming on. Thank you for sharing your story. For those of you who want to come on, as you saw, Jeff, you don't have to show your face. We do show ours, but you don't have to show. We really want to have these conversations because when I created this show over 3 years ago, it was to change the conversation around Black relationships. I am from a culture that is about coming together as a community and what we're not divisive, despite what people might say about Jamaicans. We are actually very much a community. Don't say nothing about a Jamaican in front of another Jamaican. You'll see what a community we are. We're just saying. And so for me, divisiveness has never been a thing. And so I really want to work to bring us together. So I am reaching out for those of you who would ever want to join us on a panel, to have a panel discussion about relationship life, advice about relationships. Let me know, and I can plan something. So next week is actually the end of season 6. I've done 6 seasons, 25 episodes a season, and we're going to be starting season 7 soon. And I want to change that up and really bring all of you into the fold, so it's not just me and Twins. We're really having these discussions to move the dial forward. So that is my end part. Before I ask 2 questions, Jeff, if you don't mind staying on to answer these questions. And then Jeff, as you will know from the show, at the end of it, we give dating advice. So if you have a dating advice, we'd love to hear it from you. So, okay, quickly, Twins, choose a number from 1 to 80.
Let's go with 70.
7?
70.
70,
no, what?
perfect.
7's fine. No, let's go with 7.
No,
7.
Okay, 70 was actually going to be a good one. 7. Oh, this is a good one, considering what we just talked about. If your partner told you they needed a break to find themselves, would you wait for them? So again, if your partner told you they needed a break to find themselves, would you wait for them?
No.
Jeff said, I'm not even going to hesitate. While Twins is to give his answer, I'm going to say no. I am too old to be waiting for no 50-year-old man to find yourself. Sweetie, sir, if you haven't found yourself in 50 years, there's no waiting I can do to help you do that. I date 50-plus-year-old men. We're not finding ourselves at 50. Stop your nonsense. Twins?
So I would say, if my partner says she needed a break, I'm gonna say why, right? Like you have to give me a reason why you need a break. So, like for example, the reason why I'm saying is because I was asking for a break in my marriage. I wasn't asking for a break. I asked for separation, but my separation was to show for her to be like, all right, I've been showing you and telling you what I've been doing. Maybe you need to see what life is like without me in it. You understand what I'm saying? And maybe once you see it's not as peachy cream as it is, we come right back and get this thing rolling as whatever. So from my point of view, I'm cool with it if I'm asking for it. If she's asking for it, she needs to tell me why, because clearly there's something that I'm not doing or whatever. Because I'm vocal. Like the reason why I said, because I'm communicating with my wife at that time, the things that's going on, what's bothering me was, X, Y, Z. So here's why I got to this point where I said I want to separate. If you tell me you want to separate out of the bloom, why? And if you have no reason, hell to the no. But you gotta give me a reason so I can work towards that. If it's something I'm not doing, let me know so I can work at it and get better at it. So does it make sense what I'm saying now?
No, makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
just on the same page. I don't even need an explanation. You ain't finding find yourself somebody else. Go find yourself somebody else. What am I waiting for? I am 45 years old. What are we talking about? Okay, last question, which I will choose, and it's number 18. Should your partner know your full dating history, or is that unnecessary? This could be it.
I think it's unnecessary, but
I'm giving you significant relationships.
Listen, I'm gonna say unnecessary unless it's something that's crazy. And we had this conversation before in another show. Last week. So what I'm saying is this. So get more context. So we all had a history. We all went to college. We all, we all had our lives, right? Before marriage, before meeting our partner. But if for some reason in your past, you might have had a train ran on you, right? I'm going there because that's that I can't let that one slide. Now I say that because years later we out somewhere and there's a drinking game we're playing and everybody starts spilling the beans. What's the craziest thing you ever done, right? And you never said anything to me. And all of a sudden we chill in the room, you talk about, oh yeah, a train ran on me. The fuck? That's gonna mess me up. Like what? And you're okay with telling everybody in this room because we're playing a little drinking game something you didn't tell me before we even got to marriage and everything else. I think that's something I should know, right? So that's something on that extreme. Cool. And also if you got videos out there, and also if it's on video. So if you do something like that,
not if it's on video, freak Nick.
You know what I mean? Hey, listen, as married men, I'm gonna be frank with you. As married men, sometimes you might gotta go to them websites. You never know sometimes. But goddamn, you go on a website, you ever see your wife, that's gonna fuck you up. I don't care what nobody say. Ninjas, yeah, this ain't gonna work out. Divorce right away. I'm gonna take that video to court. Why you getting divorced, Dwayne? This video right here. She didn't take it.
Freak Nick 92. No, I definitely think I want to know about the things that are going. Like I always say, tell me the things that potentially could impact our present or future, right? Like I need to know those things, and that's why I've made certain decisions in my life. Like I no longer date men with multiple children by multiple women. Like there's certain things I no longer do because I understand the impact that's going to have on my future, right? If you've got different baby moms or anything like that, and I only really did that one time, to be honest, and that did not work for me. And so I was like, yeah, this is not something for me. But every little detail, no. But if you were the town hoe bag, I think, ladies, you should let your man know. And sir, if you were slinging teen everywhere, and when I walk by, girls are like, hey! I'm like, hi, Dwayne, hi, and I'm like, why all this hi, Dwayne? Because they know what their patty woo-ha feels with you inside of them. I want to know this. Like, don't take me to your hometown when you then ran through the entire high school. Like, we're not doing that. Let a girl know. Let a girl know.
Right.
I get
Let me know when I go to the high school reunion that you done ran through the entire cheerleading team, the basketball team, the volleyball team, and the aquatics team. Like, let a girl know. Those are important. That's an important conversation. But I digress. So let's get to our dating, because you are a guest. Do you have a dating tip that you would like to share with our audience?
I wouldn't say a dating, but I would say for marriage. Something my pastor told me and my wife. He said, in order to stay married, you have to want to be married.
Amen.
Woo!
Amen.
Woo!
Mm. I don't know
Yeah,
if I
you
can
gotta.
follow that one. I don't know if I can follow that one. Message. If you
Yeah,
want to be married, if you want to stay married, you gotta want to be married. Once again, that's like the cups we had earlier. I can only pour in somebody, a cup that's empty or half empty. If they don't be married, it's there's nothing you can do, fellas. If
right.
you can't fight somebody who don't want to be with you.
Yeah.
You know what? I ain't gonna get into that's it. I'm done.
I'm gonna add on to that, and I think we need to ask ourselves the question, ladies. I'm gonna talk to the ladies. Why do you want to be married? Because if you understand fundamentally why you want to be married and what you're looking for in a marriage and what you're willing to give to a marriage, you will want to be committed to that marriage. And like I said earlier, if you take away the financial aspects of that man, him. And I think that's.
I think your Bluetooth is there cut out. You went mute. All right, go ahead. Say something.
Hold on.
All right, we can hear you.
There we go. Can you hear me now? Yeah, my
Yeah.
headset died in my ear. It was connected. You guys can hear me, right?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Okay, perfect. So I think that's the key, is really breaking down marriage. And I think for a lot of us ladies, I will say this as well. Do you want a wedding or do you want a marriage?
That part.
Jeff, add that in your counseling session too, I would say. A lot of us want the wedding. The wedding is nice, right? And here's the thing. When you hear about young girls and what they fantasize about, they don't fantasize about marriage.
Mm-hmm.
I've been planning my wedding day since I was 5, but they don't say I was planning what I would be like as a wife since I was 5.
Yep.
2 different things.
Totally.
Message.
So, if going back to what your pastor said, if you want to stay married, what does looking like a wife in your marriage look like? Because we very much understand what we want to do with showing up in our jobs, right? Like I've talked about this years ago when I started this show, right? When we commit to a job and we put out our resume and we work hard because we want to climb the ladder, we exhibit certain behaviors to get from one position to the next position, right? You put in that work. Marriage is the same way. Relationships are the same way. You have to put in the work to elevate yourself from one position. And even within your marriage, even though you've made it as a wife, that's not where it ends. It's where it begins.
Facts.
So that would be my advice to everybody. Jeff, it has been a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you for being so candid and so open and being so raw. And, again, I encourage all you gentlemen, please send your lady friends, your relatives, all of the women over here, because I really want us to have healthy conversation. And I'm sure there are other parts of the internet that healthy conversation has happened. I don't always find it. This is why I created my show, because when I was looking at some of the advice that was happening, it wasn't healthy advice. It was very divisive. It was about dividing. It was about what we had done wrong and this and that. And I was tired of that conversation, especially at our big age. So please send your family this way. Again, as season 7 begins, I would love to have more panel conversations to really move the conversation around Black relationships forward. So thank you, Jeff. I appreciate you. Do you have any final words for our audience?
No, I just thanks for having me on. Like I said, when I got the notification, I saw the topic. I'm like, I'm definitely gonna join that conversation. And like you say, it's so many spaces where I was telling somebody a while ago, it's like black men need to do this, black women need to do this. Like we're so divisive, and you don't really see the other cultures. I mean, I'm pretty sure they have the same issues, but they're not spewing it all over social media like us. And it's like we have to come to a common ground and let's work together to build. We won't get anywhere being a house divided. So thanks for having me on.
No problem. Well, Jeff, we appreciate you. I'd love to have another man's perspective as well, not just mine only, so it always helps out. So we need one more woman on the show. We'll be balanced.
Oh, yeah.
It will be amazing. So, Jeff, I am just going to kick you off the screen.
Okay.
You have a good night. So I'm going to kick you off the stage. Thank you, everybody. This was an amazing conversation. And, of course, thank you, twins. Thank you for being open. Thank you for being candid. I know this is a sensitive conversation for you to have me. I'm just like, whatever. But as someone who's come out of a marriage so recently, especially when you have children involved and so many years invested, I appreciate you. And I hope you gave a lot of divorced men faith in the idea that there is a love and life after marriage. And again, for you to be so just optimistic and so open makes me feel great. And I think the next woman who gets you is going to get the best version of him.
Well, shoot, Jeff is the first example. So he's living it right now, 8 years in. So he's giving both of us life. That there's
I'm up here like,
you know what I'm saying? So he had first marriage, second marriage, 8 years in. So that's promises up right there of there's still hope.
I love it. I love it. So thank you all. Thank you all for joining us. Watch the replay. Like, share, subscribe, and comment. See you next week, Tuesday. Next week, we are going live Tuesday at 9. So it's not going to be as spicy, but well, it might be. So next week, we're going Tuesday at 9. And also the following week, we're going Tuesday at 9. You know, twins and I have lives. So we've got things to do because, you know, we're working busy people. So the next 2 weeks will be on Tuesdays. But please join us. I'm sure the conversation is going to be amazing. So have a good night. Thank you. Bye.
Peace.
Doom, 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 doom.